RaadLife.com and find out how they can help you make your house your home for a lifetime.
All right, we're back. We're back.
Okay, we're back, and we're talking about how to lead a healthier life through actually letting things go.
Yes,
Through finding the fun and thing. Okay, well,
through
look,
improv.
I was just handed a card.
Let's see what we have.
Wait, can I do the? Can I do the Jenny Carson?
Right.
Oh, remember Carson?
Yeah.
Carson. Oh, here we go.
The great
How the
Carnet.
hell did he look at these cards when he didn't look at it?
he looked at
Was he cross-eyed? He's like kind of like.
So let's read the card. Improv for Health.
Okay, Improv for Health's daily reminders. Can we get a little somber music?
Oh, these are our daily
Can we get
reminders.
a little? Can I get some kind of? Paul, come on, work with me, people. Okay.
We like music, Paul.
Okay, here we go.
Ooh, I like that.
I think we should go around.
Okay.
Should we Should we go around?
I like that. I
You
like
start,
that.
Dan, why
baby.
don't you lead us?
Your first daily reminder is use yes and every day.
Give an example, Nancy.
Yes, and after we're done here, we're going to go out to beer and lunch, and then you can go to your meeting.
Okay, good. I like that. Tank, you want to go take
Number 2.
Number 2 of your daily reminders: embrace the unexpected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Baby, when the unexpected comes, embrace it.
Embrace.
Yo, you can
Grab
do a
it,
better
baby.
one than that. A little
Yeah.
deeper.
Embrace the
A little more Barry White
unexpected.
there.
Baby, take off that brassiere, my dear.
Let me embrace the unexpected.
Whoa, it's the unexpected.
It broke, but you don't care.
Whatever happens.
Yes, and
If it's unexpected, you don't shy away. You embrace it, baby.
Paul, you want to take the next one?
I say you learn to see the humor in all situations.
Oh, I see your cigar.
Nice one there. This one is a good one for me to remember.
Ooh.
Listen actively.
What'd you say?
Yes, and listen actively. And let's close out with Nancy Ann again.
Take risk. Remember, mistakes and even failures are okay.
Thank you very
okay,
much.
you're
I
okay.
think we need an applause for
Exactly.
everybody
I like
on
that
that
one.
one. That's
Yeah.
a nice one. Thank
I
you.
like
very
that.
much.
Listen
you, guys.
actively. Rad, I think that means the Lord gave you 2 ears and only 1 mouth.
Yeah,
You're
and
supposed to listen 2 times as much as you speak.
Yeah, but then we'd
Dad.
be a lot of dead air time on the show, right?
yes, and
Yes, and everybody has opinions are like elbows. Everybody's got
Right,
two
we
of
know
them. Boom,
about
boom, boom.
those.
I'm going to start calling it Yes and Nancy Ann.
Yes,
Yes, Nancy Ann.
that's my new name.
Yes, and Nessie Ann.
That's my
That could be
new
like
name.
actually introducing her on stage.
Yes, Nancy Ann.
Yes, and.
Yes, and.
Yes, and. Here she is.
The other one that you didn't put on here, which is Rod's favorite, is
Yes.
be in the moment, which is the other thing you do.
No,
in improv
that's
and
very
comedy.
much part of
On
her.
the front, it says, enjoy your moments.
Yeah, be in the moment.
That
Think,
is true. Be in the moment.
Don't worry about
it
it
now.
Yeah,
Can you
be in
read
the
it now?
moment.
Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about what's
Be
coming
in the
next.
moment. Don't worry. You know, yeah.
So it is actually something. We were joking about this and we're laughing about it, but it's actually pretty serious. I mean, you need to do that, especially with the intensity at which we live our lives these days.
That's true.
The constant bombardment with stuff, the demands on our personal lives, all the stuff's happening around us. It's very easy to feel kind of like rudderless, to feel kind of overwhelmed. I think
It wasn't until you pointed it out.
Who needs a rudder?
Are you,
It is a rudder.
slap on a motor.
Go, baby.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we find joy and love in everyday?
It's there. It's there. The people are pushing it away. I mean, just going back to that young girl at Macy's, she was like so intent on just being her secretary that she did. And I said, no, people just want to stay in this little elevated box.
Well,
Look
what happened at the last debate.
and-
Ugly, back and forth, mud, sling, slap, everything. And at the last question, somebody stands up in the town hall and says, don't you guys have anything good to say about each other? And everybody that resonated, the whole thing. Everybody just let air out of the balloon. Everybody was just so relieved. Can't we say something
I was
nice?
impressed when Hillary did say to Donald that I admire your kids, because that does say something. I'm a mom of 2 boys, and they're great kids. So I always say the good kids have to go somewhere. My husband
Right.
go to a crazy mom.
And I was waiting for Trump to go, yes, my girls have great racks. Exactly. Don't they?
And I paid
was
a lot for
expecting
them.
that. But he didn't. I was like, but it is true.
It did say a lot when.
And I was
she
impressed
said
when
that.
he said to her,
Yeah.
"You know what? You can say what you will about Hillary, but she's tough and she's a fighter." And I think she is tough.
Yeah.
And I think she's been fighting her whole life.
But what's lost in everything, and it's into that politics make strange bedfellows. They were all buddies.
Yeah.
They were buds back
There's
in the day.
pictures.
They'll
At
be buddies
weddings and
again,
stuff.
he'll be eating at the White House dinner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that,
You know.
well, that's the
and they're the one percenters.
That's the lawyer kind of view. You know, you attack each other in court and then you go out and laugh about it. Boy, you really got me on that one. Well, I'll get you the next time.
And I
here.
used to
It's kind
hate
of a
that
game.
in court afterwards. And I'm a sports guy, and I played a lot of sports, and I'm acrimonious towards my opponents usually. But afterwards, these lawyers get together and shake their hands, and go, "Hey, I made $250 an hour. What'd you do?" And
Yeah.
they're on
You really
to the next.
and they attack each other and call each other the worst names and attack their
And play
honesty.
golf later on Tuesday.
That's
But
true.
I want to
true.
just go back to something you were saying about the gala at Macy's, right?
Yes.
And we were saying, what love and joy is there. It's just people are pushing it away. Okay. Is it about not being open to it? Why do people push it away? Is it a sense of I'm comfortable in my limitations?
that.
It's arguing
It's-
for my limitations. What is
She
it?
knows that this is her job. Going back to the woman that was a legal secretary, well, I go in, I hand on my resume, and I said, but you enjoy organizing. That's a skill. People are afraid to think outside their little box. So when you start doing that through improvisation, take my classes. I even do improv on Skype. So it's actually the
She's
more.
still plugging this business,
I
isn't she?
mean,
here?
But it's true. The more you do it,
Yeah.
the more you do it every
Yeah.
day, it just becomes a little more.
Well, it's also if you only do what you've done, you're only going to get what you've
What-
ever gotten.
Can I
So
offer
you
another
gotta jump
awful?
off that.
Can I offer
That's-
another?
Yeah, offer one, Paul.
That's
go ahead.
true.
In the Midwest, where I grew up, lives can be a little boring, especially in the winter, right?
Cow tipping.
Cow tipping. I say it adds drama. You've said this before. Some people just like to add drama to their life, like the husband and wife that fight, and then.
But that's
make
why
up and
that's why
fight,
I was
make
I
up.
was
I
I
think
was
there's
Yeah.
drama adds a certain excitement.
But
to
okay,
life.
so let's just say go back to one thing. It is a choice.
It's a choice.
Hands down, right?
right.
I
It's
use
a
that word a
personal
lot.
It's
It's
a
a
personal
choice.
choice, right? And there are some people that choose to benchmark their life with what struggles and tribulations
Right.
and turbulent waters they got through, and I don't understand it, but I know that it's there. And it almost seems sometimes like we are afraid to be happy. We're afraid to find the humor in life. It's like
Free of struggle,
It's
free of
actually
drama.
scary to be free and open
Now what do I do?
to receive
And the more
that.
you have that in your life, the joy, the happiness, it's not going to age you. It's going to make you younger. I'm like Benjamin Button. Every birthday I get younger and younger.
And think
we
about
better
the
book her on the
comedians.
show real soon because we
She's
would
gonna
be
be so
sick.
young. She'll be in diapers by the time next week.
to take care of the kids.
She'll be in diapers next week, and they won't be depends. But and just to piggyback on that, think about the oldest actors you know. Where did they come from, and what was their genre? You look at Betty White;
Betty
she's still
White.
kicking it.
Betty
What did
White.
she do?
She has a high number.
What did Bob Hope? How old
up there.
was he? What
Yeah.
was Rochester? What was the guy?
There was
Yeah,
a video
right,
on,
Yeah,
on,
you're
on
right.
there was a video on Facebook of Dick Van Dyke
Still.
dancing the
Dancing.
other day.
His 90th birthday party.
90th birthday
That
party,
was-
and the man is doing things that
You're
you're
right.
like,
Now
wow.
we have to put a plug in because didn't
That's right.
Tank appear with Betty White recently?
Did you appear
Yes,
with Betty White?
yes, I was on To Tell the Truth. That with the
Come on, tell the truth.
The
now.
new one.
I was a brand new one with the Village People, the lead singer of the Village People. You had to decide which one of us was the real cop and which one of us was the.
And some
the
people
fake
actually
one.
thought
And
he
we
was
had to,
funny.
And we had to dance to the YMCA at the end, and they told us don't get too close to Miss White because she
smells.
Yeah, no. She kind of teeters, and if we accidentally butted her down, she'll hit the ground. And she's an icon, So they literally put us and the former basketball player, all 6'8" of him, between us while we're dancing and stuff because.
To
And
protect
she's
her.
old. I mean, she's
like
old. I think
98?
she did have slaves. She's that old. She is old.
That is old.
Yeah, her face is on the $5 bill.
Well,
Check it out.
her name is Betty White.
It is White. Betty White, exactly.
That's pretty. That's kind of funny. So I think because I
Last-
think we're
last
gonna,
couple
we're
minutes,
getting
yeah.
close to this. So
What's the lesson?
yes, and
Yes,
is
and
one
is
of the
the takeaway.
lessons from today.
Be in the
other
moment.
one is being and we say that all the time, and it's not just flippant. I
And
think
life
it's
is
very
a choice.
important.
Life is a choice.
And it's all about
it's
choices.
all about what you're going to choose.
And you
That's
have the power to make that choice, regardless what else
Exactly.
you think. You do have actually the power. You just have to have the courage to make the choice.
We don't live in the country where they tell you how to think, even though some people think we do.
Even some people like to be that.
Well, I
country.
think they try, but I
But
think
you
at the end of
really
the day,
can
have the
control.
choice.
We have
The
a choice.
You have a choice here. You have a choice to get to places early. I choose to get in my car 3 hours early before I have to get to LA. It's
Can I ask
a
you one
choice.
quick question before we go? Do you think comedy is in danger right now? And I say that not flippantly, because at one time, network television was filled with comedy. In fact, there was a period there, the Roseanne years and Tim Allen and whatnot, and Seinfeld, who went from stand-up to sitcoms and
Yes.
then movies. And then we went through the kind of silly Mike Myers kind of potty humor kind of stuff, and we've kind of stayed there. The Will Ferrell and all this stuff, the boy acting as the man, the man acting as the boy, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems like comedy, they can't seem to launch comedies anymore. Comedy clubs aren't proliferating like they were at one point in time. We don't seem to have a lot of comedy in movies these days.
Well, a lot of this is the internet. I hate to say it, but and a lot of people think they're funny. Go to an
Yes.
open mic night, and we go to open mics all the time. It's like
We stopped going.
we stop. But you go to hone your craft.
Sure.
But it's almost like pornography, and I don't want to denote it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to go and buy a Hustler anymore. You can sit in front in your underwear, like you said,
Right.
and just pull out your
Whatever.
your iPad. You can pull out your iPad and you
Yes.
can get it. So the same with comedy.
Yes.
You don't have to look at bad comedy. You can decide on whomever you want to see and just go to your iPad. You don't have to go out. But the best ones, the best comedians are pulling them in. The worst ones, not so much. But there's just so many
They're
now.
still filling up clubs. I mean, when I was
So
at the
it's-
Irvine Improv, I had 500 people there.
So it might be that it's not necessarily that comedy is in danger of dying. I think it may be just representing itself in a different medium.
Things are cyclical. Like you
And
said.
That's true.
And you have a lot more to weed through because everybody pretty much has a cell phone and basically can be a media
That's true.
personality
Right.
in 2 seconds doing something stupid,
Yep.
right? But
you need a niche.
we talk about and
But we don't seem to be developing comedy. Comedy seems to be going into the lowest common denominator. More and more comedy is doing something stupid and slapstick and saying, being stupid, being drunk, being a jerk. What's the whole
Well,
series?
then us
name
as
of
the
it?
viewers need to not watch that. Don't
Right.
go that way.
Right.
And
Where's the
eventually
clever
they'll
comedy?
learn.
Where's the
right,
insightful
but you know what?
comedy?
When when Mel Brooks showed up at the Segerstrom, it was a full house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's
It's
an
still-
icon.
But
That is.
no, but
That's true.
I think
But where's the new
Where
Mel?
are
Where's
we?
the new Mel Brooks?
Well,
Where's
but
the
that
new genre?
that question can be applied to everything, Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
could.
where's the next this thing, and when's the next night that thing? And to be honest, I saw a comic in one of the Sunday papers, and it said, "It's so great that everything I need is on the internet," and then it said, "It's so great that everything is on the internet." Right.
Yeah.
So the point is that there's so much more to weed through. There's
Yes,
so much
that's
more
probably-
crap to weed versus it used to be done for us.
Right.
It used to be filtered before it was given to us. Right.
Right.
Now we have a choice to filter it.
So it's coming at us like a fire hose, and we can't.
It is, and I think that's
sift
part,
through
and
it.
that's part of the overwhelming.
Right.
That's part of the stress. Okay, and again, it is a personal choice. That
It's a choice, how
you
you
don't
spend
you
it,
don't
yes.
have to be attached to your phone on every second and every notification on Facebook. You don't have to sit there and watch bad shows. Right.
So the good news is nobody's curating it and sifting through it and only presenting a handful of comedy. The bad news is nobody's curating it and sifting
That's
it.
That's
exactly
right.
that's exactly the point.
Use your brain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
your
exactly
choice.
what. Now it has become more your responsibility, my
Yes.
responsibility.
Oh, I hate that.
Exactly. I'd rather somebody just tell me what to do. No, it's
I hate that.
exactly where we started off. It is about somebody telling me what to do versus me thinking for myself.
I got to tell you what to do. We're out of time.
We're out of
Oh,
time.
bummer.
Yes,
That went too
yes,
fast.
and
Yes,
after
and.
you tell me that,
Yes.
we're still going to keep going
And
on
we're
anyway.
going to keep
That
going.
was a quick hour.
That went way
That was a
quick.
quick
So,
hour.
thank you.
so why don't you guys give the audience or the listeners
How to reach you.
how to find
Where
out
you're
more about
appearing
what you guys are
next,
doing.
all that. Yeah.
I am going to be at a bar up in LA. It's called the Airliner. I think it's a.
But you're not appearing there. You're just going to be at the bar.
Bar,
No, I am
drinking
doing
beer.
stand
If she's not there, she's in the restroom.
I'm doing stand up at
Oh,
the
okay.
Airliner.
Where's the Airliner,
And
Nancy?
the Airliner is up in LA.
Okay.
Isn't that a strip club up there?
No, it's not. No, it's a
Stay in your
comedy-
corner. Let her
It's
talk.
a comedy show.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
it's next Tuesday evening. I'm going to be with some good comics. That's my next thing coming
That's
up.
interesting. I haven't ever heard of that place.
I never heard of this one.
It's in downtown LA.
Okay.
And if they would like to reach me, I have the website, Improv for Health. My email is improvforhealth@gmail.com. And we could do Skype. We could do improv in your office and all kinds of ways.
Could I do it in my
reach
underwear? No.
As long as you're at home. And
Skype.
I don't care
Pull
what the
your
heck
iPad out.
I don't care what the heck you're wearing.
And Mr.
And
Tank.
I'm going to be at Betty's Boom Boom House, and,
Yeah.
Sylvia's House of Sin. Actually, I signed an NDA. I have something coming up pretty exciting, but I can't talk about it.
Non-disclosure agreement.
But I'm
Okay.
also
Yes.
going to be at, that's a private party. So, yeah, I'm just out there. But if you ever want, I have some of my acting on Facebook. It's at Rufus Tanksley. I was just in one of these vote no on Prop 61. I had no idea what it was, but they were paying me, so I looked like a doctor in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jewish doctor. I work for tips. Anyway,
Seriously, folks.
I appreciate everything the show has. And OC, I've never
Thank
really
you.
heard of the talk radio, but
Now you have. Now you
now
can
I
tell
have, and I'm
everybody.
gonna start telling all my friends that actually have no work and no job.
Nothing to do during the day.
Yeah, wait, that's our
Turn it
best
at noon.
audience, actually.
Exactly.
People that are-
Well, actually, people go to work at noon and they eat their sandwiches and they could be listening to you. And this is a rad idea, Rad.
It's a rad
Thank you,
show.
guys.
Thanks for having
I
us.
love the
for
show.
being here.
Thank
Yeah.
you for letting me get it.
By the way, I'm going to put out an invitation. I don't know what it is that you can't talk about, but when you can talk about it,
Come back.
come on back.
I will definitely do so. It's very exciting. Thank you.
Okay, and I want to just give a shout out because she's sitting off on the corner, and it's Deborah Pearson who
Yay,
actually.
Deborah.
And I have to say,
Oh,
Debbie's
let's give her
beautiful and she
let's
smells
give her
great.
An applause, please,
Give her
will
some
you?
applause.
Yeah, let's
Give her
Deborah an
applause.
DP.
Yes, our DP.
Thank you.
And so I want to just acknowledge Deborah because she does a lot to secure some great talent for the show to come in as guests.
She does, right.
And she's sitting in the corner away from camera. I also want to give a congratulations to my buddy Freddie Dominguez, who just won in the Senior Care Heroes Award. So
Oh,
he's been on the show.
Nice.
And
I know
wanna-
Freddie. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
want to thank Senior Serve for letting me do some interviews of some of the award recipients and some of the finalists on the red carpet last Saturday.
Did we capture those? Or gonna have
Those are on the Senior Serve Facebook page.
Okay.
And I have put links, I believe, on my personal page, but we will share them on the Raad Life page. It was really great. We had a couple of doctors. It was an awesome event. All the money goes to Senior Serve Meals on Wheels, and they feed about 1 million. They put out about 1 million meals a year.
Nice.
In Southern California, they're the largest nonprofit doing it. So anyway,
Very
thank you
good.
guys for being on the
Perfecto.
show.
Thank
you. Thank you.
And remember, everybody, you have a choice to laugh. You have a choice to be happy. You have a choice to lower your blood pressure. You don't have to go pay for
Make the right choice.
a high-priced, life coach. You can start by taking responsibility
With Improv Health.
and laughing. And then if you can't do that yourself, or you get started and you get kind of hooked on it, talk to Nancy Ann at Improv.
Nice.
Yes,
Thank-
and we're all done.
Yes, Sam,
Yes,
thank
And
you.
yes, thank you.
Thank
have
you.
been
And always
listening
listen
to the Rad Life Radio Show with your host and age explorer, Raad Ghantous. Brought to you on the one and only octalkradio.net. Join us again next week as we continue our journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older. If you are like the majority of Americans, you want to continue living in a familiar environment throughout your maturing years. In fact, according to many surveys, 82% of homeowners overwhelmingly prefer to age in place, which means living in their current homes safely, independently, and comfortably, regardless of age or ability level. With over 30 years of combined experience in residential, commercial, hospitality, and destination resorts fields, Your Home for a Lifetime is a company dedicated to empowering you to maintain your quality of life and independence by helping you make your house your home for a lifetime. Do you want to reorganize or remodel your home? Do you want to add a full bathroom and possibly a bedroom on the main floor? Are you looking to make your kitchen more functional? Is an aging parent moving in, or your child is moving out, or even moving back in? Call Your Home for a Lifetime at 949-492-1872 or check them out on the web at yourhomeforalifetime.com and find out how they can help you make your house your home for a lifetime.
It's time for the Talent Talk Radio Show, brought to you by People G2, a nationwide leader in background checks and employment screening solutions. People G2 gives their clients access to the best human capital management and due diligence tools available. They are dedicated to helping their clients with all of their people-related decisions. To learn more, go to www.peopleg2.com. Talent Talk centers on the topics of talent recruitment and management, leadership development, company culture, and employee engagement. These are all timely topics for CEOs, entrepreneurs, HR professionals, and business leaders. We hope that as you tune in to listen each week, whether to the live broadcast or to the podcast on iTunes or iHeartRadio, that you hear something you can take away that will help you grow and impact your career in a positive way. And now, here's the host of the Talent Talk Radio Show, the founder and CEO of People G2, Chris Dyer.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me here on Talent Talk. I have a very special show for you, all of our listeners here today. We're excited about. We've got one guest who we'll announce here in just a moment. And, kind of the way the show works is I have the privilege of meeting a lot of these inspiring leaders all the time at different events, at conferences, or LinkedIn, or wherever I kind of run across some of these inspiring people. And what we've done is just put this show together in order for you to listen to our dialogue and hopefully, pick up something that will impact your own career in a positive way. As these different topics are happening each week, there seems to be something new in HR or in employee engagement or talent management that everyone's talking about. So we hope to kind of bring that to you here each week and be as timely as we can. The Talent Talk Radio Show happens here Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we also have most of our actual listeners come in through the podcast on either iTunes or iHeartRadio. And we have over 280,000 of you that tuned in last week and downloaded one of our podcasts. So big thank you to everyone who's doing that. Who's sharing it with their network, listening to the shows, whatever it may be. Really appreciate your interaction. If you have a question here for my guest today, you can submit it via Twitter. Just pop in that question. If there's space, add the @PeopleG2. But most importantly, you got to have that hashtag Talent Talk. My producer, Mike, will be monitoring the hashtag during the show. And if he sees a good question, he's going to shoot it over to me, and we'll try to work it into the show before we let our guests off the hook. But let's go ahead and get to that guest. Today we are really privileged and excited to have Michael Arena, PhD. He's a Chief Talent Officer for General Motors Corporation. I'm sure you might have heard of them. And so, as I mentioned, he'll be here for the whole show, so we get to kind of slow down a little bit and go deep with him. But, Michael, let's go ahead and get the introductions. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Chris. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's not too bad for a Tuesday in April. I don't know how the rest of the country is, but we finally have stopped the rain, so we're doing well. But maybe you can tell a little bit about yourself, what you're doing at General Motors, and maybe just kind of a quick update of, kind of who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it is a beautiful day here in Detroit, and we love when we can say that. The sun is shining brightly, and again, I appreciate being on the show. So I run talent management and development for the organization, so that includes, everything you would consider in that space, all of our talent management activities, employee engagement, development portfolio across the enterprise, so that includes sort of our senior leadership development portfolio and programs, along with much of our learning activity from a professional development standpoint.
So as you kind of summarize there, you're looking at everything, responsible for everything under that word talent, and from a leadership development and strategic planning level as well. So I kind of look at people like yourself, and they're usually pretty passionate about at least one or two things, sometimes a lot more than that, but maybe within that scope of your job, what really is exciting you, that you might put in that one or two things that you're passionate about category, around your work?
It'll be very hard to narrow me down to one or two things. But I guess, so certainly people development and, human capital strategies and, what has emerged, really over the last decade, and I think the last few years, I'm really intrigued about how do we apply hard sciences to soft skills, and how do we think about, with the advancements in analytics and the advancements in technology, and even our ability to be able to measure human behavior, how do we apply that to the HR space? So that's absolutely an area that I'm very fascinated by. I think the other one would be, if I had to narrow it to two, would be how do we create environments for active learning and active development? So rather than sitting passively inside the classroom and using traditional forums for learning and development, how do you actually engage people in real live business challenges and create scenarios where they're driving business impact and developing at the same time? And those are two things that we spend quite a bit of time on here. In the latter, it's even in the context of applying things like design thinking, where people can learn by doing in sort of these finite times in space. So.
Well, what you're bringing up here about active development reminds me a lot about the sort of discussion that we've been having for the last couple of years about reviews. And, people are looking at, should they be doing an annual review, and how effective is that? And I think maybe what you're bringing up is for this active development, is it really effective to have people go sit in a classroom once every quarter or whatever that sequence of time is? Or is it better to try to have this more of an active scenario where the learning is occurring as a regular part of the culture and the development that's happening on a regular basis, as opposed to, hey, go sit in this classroom for a day or two, right, ignore your job, get behind in everything you're doing and feel completely, disconnected from your work for a few days while we shove something down your throat. Is that kind of what you're relating here?
Yeah. Well, I think everything has its time and place. So, I think that the traditional sort of classroom approach, still applies in some circumstances. But I think the way we deliver it, and the doses that we deliver it in, so I think locking someone into a room when they're used to moving around, every single moment of every single day, and kind of locking them down for 3 days feels like undue punishment oftentimes. And I think what I'm suggesting is we can improve that process by finding ways to actively engage people in business challenges in that context. But there's also a way of getting them out and about solving business problems, and then doing sense making and again, design thinking types of approaches to better understand what they just did, what they learned, and most importantly, how that will shape behavior moving forward.
Right. And you also mentioned this fascination you have around that kind of science of talent and the things that are coming out from that perspective. I mean, there's a lot of great leaders right now in that space. One that really comes to mind right now for me has been Adam Grant, with a lot of the work that he's done, and many others. But it's funny for me to hear you say that, and it shouldn't be, but it's funny because we generally on this show we spent, I would say, a good part of 2016 blaming the Industrial Revolution and those that maybe were a part of it for a lot of the management problems that happen now, that people have this kind of archaic idea of what talent, how do you manage the talent that you have? You have to see them to know they're working. They need to be shuffling a paper around in order for you to think they're productive. And so from a big company like yours, it would be really easy to say, well, you guys are probably just, living in that world still as well. But obviously you're not. I mean, you guys are kind of applying some more forward thinking to what you're doing. Are there some specific things you're doing in that area, more recently that maybe might surprise people that you guys are involved in from an engagement and management standpoint of your talent?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are numerous things we could talk about. I don't view this even close to being, going, and we work a lot with Adam. We've worked with Adam, and I don't think he would articulate it this way either. It's not about the Industrial Revolution. It's using advanced techniques to better understand the nuance of human behavior so people can make choices. And it's not really sort of forcing anybody into a predictive model. It's really using more evidence-based approaches so that you can empower people to make choices around things. So if you quite differently than, the old time study, sort of Frederick Taylor analyses, of the one-size-fits-all approach. I think we live in a world where there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all approach, and we're trying to find, different approaches. And in fact, I would oftentimes say, and then I'll get specific to your question, I would also say that the days of best practices are over. We should be looking for evidence-based practices in the context of what you're operating in, and that's where I think the data helps. So we are doing that for everything from trying to help people identify what their career path should be, so that they can sort of self-nominate for a career that would be interesting to them, and we use data to help drive that, to really looking at things like engagement. So what are the key traits, and how do we evaluate that in such a way that we can change